Hello everyone, DMFF here, and today I am covering a deck from Scientist format. A format from November of 2003, before Dark Crisis, before Invasion of Chaos. This was an awesome format, and we're going to get right into it. This deck is called Dark Magician Hand Tempo, a tempo deck that looks to control our opponent's hand while putting out threats on the board relatively quickly. And here's the breakdown of the deck, starting off with one copy of Dark Magician. This copy of Dark Magician, this 2500 attack monster, we're never going to be tribute summoning him. We are going to be bringing him out with the likes of Skilled Dark Magician, which is a 1900-1700 monster, 4 stars, and each time a spell card is activated, place a spell counter on the card when the spell resolves, max of 3. You contribute this card with 3 spell counters on it to special summon a Dark Magician from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So, we run 3 of these and plenty of spell cards to be able to get this off the ground. This is the small Dark Magician package. Outside of this, we have a bit of a hand control package to help control the game early on and then get our threats out later. So, these monsters are going to include 3 Mystic Tomatoes to be able to bring out dark monsters from our deck with 1500 attack or less. Those targets being 2 copies of Don Zalug, as it is a great hand control monster. Pretty sizable stats for what it does as well. Then we have 2 copies of Spirit Reaper, which is the other hand destruction monster in the deck that can also function as a great defensive tool. Additionally, we can bring out Sangan to get a 1500 attack or less monster from our deck to our hand once this is sent from field to grave. Another target is Witch of the Black Forest, Sangan's better brother that can bring a monster with 1500 or less defense from our deck to our hand from the same conditions. And the last monster that our Mystic Tomato can go into is Magical Scientist. We run 1 copy of this monster to be able to go into the fusion deck, to be able to attack monsters on our turn, to be able to close out games, or maybe even be able to clear some of our opponent's monsters. But that's all for the hand control package in the monsters. Now we'll get to the rest of the cards, the rest of the monsters in the deck. 1 copy of Breaker the Magical Warrior as solid, just a solid monster overall, can be 1900 attack or pop a back row. 1 copy of Tribe Infecting Virus as solid typo removal. 1 copy of Injection Fairy Lily just to be able to beat over anything. 1 copy of Yatagarasu as the final piece to our hand control deck, being able to lock our opponents out of drawing. And then the final monster in the deck is Magician of Faith. Flip summon, get a spell from your graveyard to your hand. Awesome stuff. Now we'll go into the spells. 1 copy of Change of Heart, as it is part of the Power 5 and a really strong card, just to be able to take our opponent's monsters, good to be able to turn the tables. 1 copy of Confiscation to be able to look at our opponent's hand and rip a card from it into the grave. Solid for hand control. 1 copy of Delinquent Duo to rip 2 cards from our opponent's hand. 1 copy of Graceful Charity, draw 3, discard 2. 1 copy of Mirage of Nightmare as the most powerful draw card in the deck. 2 copies of Last Will that can get out things such as Mystic Tomato, Magical Scientist. We can basically get anything that aren't our big attackers from the deck with this card. 1 copy of Monster Reborn, another part of the Power 5, target a monster in either grave, special it. 2 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon as back row removal and also synergizes well with Mirage of Nightmare to keep the drawn cards. 1 copy of Pot of Greed, what does it do? 1 copy of Premature Burial as basically an additional worse copy of Monster Reborn. 1 copy of Raigeki to wipe our opponent's board. And 1 copy of the Forceful Sentry as honestly the best hand rip card out of all 3, as you don't pay any cost and it gets sent to the deck. Now we have a few traps. 2 copies of Drop Off, as it is a great hand control option in this format. 1 copy of Mirror Force to blow up our opponent's monsters when they attack us. 1 copy of Ring of Destruction, as it is just amazing. Blow up a monster. Everybody loses the monster's attack as life points. 1 Torrential Tribute, as it is really powerful support that we can even use on our own stuff like Sangan and Witch of the Black Forest to toggle it and get like get Yatagarasu. And 1 copy of Imperial Order, as it is probably the most powerful trap card in the game at this point, and we can effectively turn off our Mirage of Nightmare with it. Now, that's all the main deck cards. Let's get into the Fusion deck now, the cards that Magical Scientist can summon. We have 1 copy of Punished Eagle and 1 copy of Roaring Ocean Snake. They are effectively the same card, 2100 attack, 1800 defense, no effect. It's the biggest damage that we can get on a level 6 body, so that's what they are here for. 2 copies of Ryu Senshi, as it is really awesome. It can basically be a 7 tools of the bandit and cannot be targeted by spell cards or else they're negated. 1 copy of Super Robo Lady and 1 copy of Super Roboyaru, as they're effectively the same card as well that we can bring out with Magical Scientist. It goes up to 2200 attacks during the damage step whenever it battles with a monster, and you can return either one to special summon the other from the deck. So if for some reason somebody equipped like something on it that made it so then it couldn't attack or it had lowered attack, you could just swap this out on your turn for Super Robo Lady. Pretty neat options to be able to go into. 2 copies of Dark Balter the Terrible as a solid spell card negate, and it also negates effect monsters that you destroy by battle. 2 copies of Fiend Skull Dragon, as it will negate the effects of flip effect monsters while it is on the field. Negate any trap effects that target this card as well. 2 copies of Reaper on the Nightmare. It can attack directly, is hand rip, and if it gets targeted, it gets destroyed, but it cannot be destroyed by battle. And 3 copies of Thousand Eyes Restrict, just for a solid control piece to turn off turn off attacks, and also our opponents cannot change their battle positions. There's more to it than that, but you know, he is just a really good card. Now we will get into the sideboard. We have 1 copy of Jinzo as solid trap hate, 1 copy of the Fiend Mega Cyber going second. Sometimes opponents can get more than 1 monster on the field, so this is a viable option. 2 copies of Zombira the Dark to just have a bigger, normal summonable monster if we need it. 2 copies of Electric Snake for anti-hand control measures, as we will discard a card from our hand to grave, and then activate. If this card is discarded from hand to grave, it will allow us to draw 2 cards, so that is really powerful. When our opponent goes to hand rip, this can get ripped, and we'll get a pot of greed out of it. 1 copy of Dark Hole in the sideboard, 1 copy of Harpy's Feather Duster and Heavy Storm for back row removal, 2 copies of Nobleman of Crossout for face down monster removal, 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army for additional consistency if we need it, 1 copy of Barrel Behind the Door for shenanigans with Ring of Destruction, as well as other burn effects that every once in a while pop up. And finally, 2 copies of Magic Jammer, because magic cards are still the most powerful cards. So that's the deck. I really hope you enjoyed it. This one's going to be very short and sweet compared to the others. This was the deck that I played back in this format, and it really was really powerful. It combined hand control and Dark Magician Turbo into a deck that I found to be very formidable and could out-tempo hand control and out-tempo various other decks as well. If you are not able to hand rip certain cards from Magical Scientist FTK, then they very well could just FTK you on their very first turn, even if they're going second. So be advised of that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the deck. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe, ding that bell, and let me know what you thought of the deck. Let me know also what format and what deck you might want to see. I will absolutely cover it. Specifically, I would like to know what format you would like, because I have decks for just about every format in between 2002 and 2012. I also have some more various format decks, like hat format, and some of the later stages closer to modern, and obviously I also play domain format, as I have done a deck tech of my main domain format deck on the channel. If you would like to see my other domain format deck, let me know. Anyway, if you would like to support me further, my Patreon is in the link in the description down below. Thank you so much to KMAL3170, my one VIP DMFFer. If you would like your name or username read off at the end of my videos, join my Patreon today. Anyway, I hope you all have a great day. Take care.